God bless you. Glad to be with you again. Another Growing in Grace podcast. Glad that you're there. Glad that you're with us. And we'd like for you to like, share, subscribe, and let others know about this podcast. Today, we have a special subject about the games men play. And we are saying that you, as women and young ladies and young daughters, you should beware because men play games.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that others don't, not to say that women don't play games, but you need to be aware of the games that men play. And so I have a ex-player who's my brother.
Yes. Emphasis on X.
Ex-player.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. This is Pastor Terry, Pastor's Hope of Glory, and so we were in the world together. Now you had game. I didn't have as much. I didn't do, as like you did. I tried to have a little game. It's not that I wasn't a sinner or wasn't it's not like that. I'm not trying to say I was better and I didn't want to do, but you had it going, and I didn't have it like that. I didn't have it like that. And in fact, I came to God a little early before I can get too much game. When you're about 14, you don't have much game. But so I came a little early. But you started having game real early too, though. You started having, because remember that time I was we were trying to get home. We were walking home. We spent all our bus fare money like we did oftentimes on cookies and candy. So we had to walk home, but you wanted to take a detour. Yeah, remember you wanted to walk trailer.
Oh yeah, this is the story he always tells.
You wanted to walk your girlfriend home.
Yeah.
You wanted to walk your girlfriend home. But anyway, I got beat up because you wanted to walk your girlfriend home.
Okay.
So you was working with game then.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about it was to start this conversation about some of the games that men play.
I think one of the things that sometimes the ladies don't recognize is that a man, like we do, especially an ungodly man, will play games.
Yeah.
He'll play games. He'll play games with how you look. He'll play games with in school with pretending to like subjects, to pretend to like whatever you might like. Learn to say the things that you like to hear, all to get to what they want to get to. And nothing really, depends on who you're dealing with. And I would just say beware. Nothing really is off limits. They'll come to church.
Yeah. So really what you're saying is the long game.
Some of it is long game, but the harder you are, the longer the game will play. The easier you are, the less we have to do. I'm saying I want y'all to understand that this is not who I am now. I have repented from all of this. I've been converted, been changed, heart been changed, mind been changed, but I still remember.
Yeah. In fact, I'll say this, that sometimes people think that they can't be a help to people because they have not been pure always. I've had some say, well, I can't serve because this is in my past. And that actually, that's in your past. Thank God it's in your past. But because it's there, you can serve because you can help somebody.
Right.
You can share an experience that can cause somebody not to go down the road that you went down or cause others to go down.
Right, exactly. And I wouldn't keep what I've experienced and some of the missteps that I've had. I wouldn't keep this back from warning my own daughter about some of the things that these guys will do.
Yeah.
Right, with a straight face, with a smile, with what looks like it's as sincere as you can get, but it's all a game. It's all a game.
Say, God, he might cry for you.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You the best thing, I love you, I give you everything. We've heard some talk about how the guys talk about they'll promise you everything, the moon and the stars, and don't even have a car, right? but these are some of the things that guys will do, and they don't really feel all that bad about it. So it's not, it could get, it could be ugly.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I appreciate us having this conversation so that we can warn, especially our godly ladies, our women who are pursuing relationships with God and have relationships with God, that you don't fall for the tricks and the wiles of the devil.
Yeah.
Because that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
It's a trick. It's the wiles of the devil. The devil gets in us, and some of us can be very cunning and crafty.
Yeah. So tell us some of the game. Let's get a little specific.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: if we stay general, then they won't get it. So
Now I'm gonna tell you, and especially since we mentioned in the church, and this is going out pretty much to what I would consider to be a church audience. Like, just because a guy comes to church doesn't make him a good man.
Right.
A guy will come to church, and we've seen this.
Yeah.
They'll come to church. They'll take on the baptism. They'll be at Bible study. Right?
He playing the long game.
Playing the long game. He'll talk to you. He won't try to push himself on you. He'll be very seem like very genuine until is until he gets what he's after.
And sometimes even marriage.
Even marriage.
Sometimes they'll even go all the way to marriage, marry you, and will not be committed to not divorcing and remarrying.
Right.
Right.
And because they know that you have a church history, you got you're trying to live a life for God. They understand that we don't believe in just divorcing and remarrying. They understand that. They know that you understand it. They know that you that's what you wouldn't want to divorce and remarry, or you wouldn't even want to go out on them. But they'll get you. Right, and they'll live any kind of lifestyle behind your back, right? Knowing that you can't really, your hands are pretty much tied, and they don't really care. So I would just encourage you to just to be aware. Don't just take interest in somebody just because they taking on the baptism,
right?
Or because they seem to be be into church. I would want you to pay attention to, well, actually, Pastor Stacy says it well, like, who are they accountable to? Like, what men of their life are they accountable to? Who do they talk to? If a man is, he just comes to church, he's by himself, and all he does is show interest in you, like, y'all will be aware of that.
But yeah, it's one of them red flags.
One of them red flags, right?
Red flags, because what's happening is, if he does that, then he's actually not assimilating into the community. He's just there for you.
He's just there for you.
He's not there for himself.
No.
And then when he comes is when you ask him, or he's there, at that time when you want him to be there. And when you're not interested in him coming, then he don't show up. And you ask him to come, he comes. And so you got to watch that.
Right.
Got to watch that. Yeah, he actually needs to be there for himself, not for you.
Right.
See, and if the relationship don't go well, then he needs to be there for himself. Whether you and the relationship continues, his relationship with God's supposed to be not contingent upon your relationship.
Right. He's supposed to have a personal relationship with God for himself outside of you.
Exactly.
Right. So the only time he comes to church is when you're at church. We just pay attention to those types of things. And just beware. I'll tell you now. We're saying this now. There are some good, genuine men here in our church, or in the church. I would say, but just don't because somebody comes you don't just check them off just because they're here.
Yes. Well, and the thing about that is, just like before we got married, my wife and I got married. She was under the pastor in the true church, and I was under a pastor in the true church. We still asked each other some questions because just because we was under those pastors, that didn't mean we believed what they preached. So just because somebody even attend the same service was brought up, not coming in, they was brought up right there from a baby in the same church. You still need to be careful.
You still need to be careful, and I would also even. if you do seem to be interested in someone, or a guy seems to express some interest in you, then I would ask another prominent male in the church about this guy, somebody that he's may know or been around. What do you think about this guy? And this actually just happened. Someone's like, there's a guy that might be interested. What do you think about him? And they ask me, and I'm not gonna lie to you. And so if I can account for you, if I think I'll give a good report if a good report is due. There's some things in men we can see, and so I would advise anyone that's single and looking for someone, like do your research, do your due diligence, because like we said before, like men will play games. They'll play games, and they'll, you're hurt and crying, and he's moved on to the next one, right?
Next victim.
Victim, right?
Yeah.
In my past, I did some things that I'm not proud of, which is why if you notice, I'm a little hesitant, because I don't feel good about some of the things that I've done. But we do need to know the lies that we'll tell, and the extent of what we'll do. We'll drive all night long. We'll do. It looked like we making great sacrifices for you. Yeah, just be aware of all of that, because it's not always genuine. Pastor Stacy said something the other day, and it struck me. He said he tells his daughter, don't take anything from any man, because he just about always wants something, and that is can be true.
Has motives.
Yeah.
Has motives, and so you want to be careful of that. He'll feel like you owe him something.
Right. Exactly.
Because when he did it so that he could have that
Leverage.
That leverage. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a game. It's a game now. Not necessarily all the time, but especially a certain type of guy. And so, yes, you have to be careful. Go forward.
All right, and so I would even encourage us to, and I think we're doing a better job now, even talking to our young daughters and young girls and telling them that they're beautiful. And, and that they're attractive, and they look good, and they're smart and bright, and encouraging and building them up, so that when these guys begin to approach them,
yes.
This is not new information for them,
right?
And I know it is going to be different coming from somebody that you might admire or be interested in. I know that it feels different, but we still have to tell you to beware of that.
Yes,
because that's you need somebody. A person that's interested in you need to be able to tell you more than you're beautiful.
Right, and that's something to think about as well, because if all he can do is compliment you on your features, then that may be what he's looking at, your features, and that may be the goal, is to get your physical rather than get you,
right?
As a person, and sometimes a person is really not interested in you as a person; they're interested in what they can get out of you, and so you are more than what you look like. A young lady is more than what she looks like.
Right, exactly.
And if then what the young lady has to also recognize is that you got to value yourself as more than what you look like. So just because somebody tell you you're beautiful, that doesn't mean you give up everything for that.
Right.
You don't give up everything because he said I'm cute, and then you just go to smiling and grinning and shuffling your feet, and then now your heart doesn't melt.
Right.
And now you got this affection toward him just because he told you those things.
Right.
No, that shouldn't be the thing that really gains you just because he compliments you.
Right. Or even stuff, or even the way that he presents, like dressing nice and clothing and going out to nice restaurants. All of that, right? If you're not careful, it's game. It's all game.
It's part of the setup.
It's part of the setup. All of it. You know what? I'll say this. Guys used to tell me, man, you going to take her out to eat? You going to take her to this nice restaurant? And, yeah. I got to eat too. You going to pay for everything? Yeah, I'll pay for everything. God, this is some of the things, the extent that we'll go through to get to what we're trying to get to. So be aware. And I'm not saying that you have to be cold and you have to be vicious to everyone that approaches you, but don't just be gullible and head over heels because a guy smiles at you, because his pants fit right, his shoes are right and clean. Those things really are nothing. I have, and this may be a little bit off topic, but I'll address it just a little bit here. I've seen where some ladies have not liked some guys because of the way that they're dressed.
Yeah.
Because they might not have the latest fashion, or they might not be fashionable at all. And look at those things, but he may have good moral characteristics. He might have everything else,
Yeah.
but he just doesn't dress right. And they'll disregard him.
Yeah.
And then look at this other guy over here. Yeah, his outside is dressed up, but his inside is terrible. And then sometimes they'll even notice that it's terrible and think that they can change that.
They're gonna change that,
Which one is easier? To change the way a man dresses,
Yeah.
or to change his heart?
Well, I can share with you that my wife, she evidently, like they say about the Lord, how he looked beyond my faults
Yeah.
and saw my need.
Right. Yeah, she helped you out a whole lot.
My dressing was not good. It wasn't. In fact, looking back, I could see it myself. In the moment, I couldn't tell. I thought I was doing good, but somehow or another, she could see beyond how I was looking, and saw something in me, and we were able to connect. And as far as the dressing goes, she helps me with that now. She helps me with that now.
That's an easy fix.
That wasn't hard.
That's an
And then-
easier fix
Yeah.
than trying to change a woman beater, or
Yeah.
trying to change a cheater, or trying to change somebody whose heart is just not in the right place.
Them character flaws.
Right.
The character flaws. In fact, that's one of the things I would even tell somebody, even about the money thing. Because I would say that, a man needs to have a good mind and good thinking. And like our overseer said, Bishop Jeffries, he said, well, you need to tell the young ladies, he needs to have a bank account. And I've been talking about he needs to have a good credit score. Not just that you would. And the reason why I say that about the credit score is that credit score tells a story. It tells that you honor your commitments.
Right.
You do what you say you're going to do. That's what that says.
Right.
That's what that says. So that's why I would say that a good credit score, if you can find out some kind of way how he thinks about paying bills and things like that, all that's wonderful. But more important than that, if you're meeting a young man at an early stage, he may not have the credit score, may not have a lot of money in his bank, but you need to recognize his character. His character.
Right.
Because I would even say that when my wife and I, when we got together, if she was looking at all that for me, I mean, like a bank, all that, I wouldn't establish. I was too young to have some of that established because we married I was 19. But what she had to look for was character, you see. And so I would say that to young people is character is actually more important than some of those other things that you can list out. If you don't have good character, if you don't mind, all that other stuff is a facade, and it's still the house gonna come down.
Right. And some of those things, like you mentioned, I heard Bishop mention that even on this past Wednesday about, having a bank account now. Come on, a bank account.
It ain't got to be necessarily fat, but you need
to be.
You need to have something.
Have some type of financial institution. And then as far as your credit score goes, I can understand that too, but that wouldn't be a deal breaker,
Right?
Because, like again, you say you can. That's one of those things. It might be a negative, but you could possibly look past that and see the potential in a man. But here's what: if you go out with a man, he don't have, credit score is bad, and then y'all get ready. He asks you to go out, and you got to pay for half, and you got to pick him up.
Yeah,
you got to drop him off. He don't have no gas money. Those are. Yeah, don't listen. When you see some of these things, don't listen to what a person says. Look at what he does and who he is. Because we can say anything. Some guys, I mean, they call it, Deacon Boyd said, I had the gift of gab. Whatever that is. But some people, and I know what that is, but some people, they really have it.
Yeah, they can talk.
They can talk.
Charm you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word, yeah.
Charm you. They'll charm you really well. And some people always have a story, why they can't do this and why they can't do that. And if a person is always got that going, then when will it end? See, will it end when y'all get together, or is he doing that to play you, even in the beginning? And if you don't mind, that'll continue right on in. It'll always be a story to tell.
Right.
See,
And so I would say, even so, sometimes going out, people like, well, he's taking me to this. We look at some of the restaurants and how some guys may spend their money. Some guys may take you to some of these fancy restaurants, and another guy who may be working on his credit store may say, well, can we go here? And I'm gonna use this. Let's go to Ryan's, or let's go to Corral, because I'm trying to work on my credit. I'm trying to get some bills and stuff paid off. And some ladies would look at that and frown on that. But you need to pay attention to that, because he's showing you something without trying to really impress you.
right.
Be careful of guys that are always trying to impress.
Because sometimes they're going in the hole to do it. They can't really afford to do what they're doing.
No.
But they're going in the hole. They're just trying to show you, like, it's really a facade.
Right. It's a lure. Yeah. It's a bait. We call it bait and switch. Yeah. So it's be careful. Just be careful. Be careful. Because a lot of the attentions out here from some of the guys is just not good. It's just not good. And you get into some situation, you get your hearts and you get your emotion involved with somebody in there, and sometimes the guy's heart and he's not invested at all.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we do need to recognize is you've got to kind of guard your heart, and who you give your heart to. And I know sometimes what people do is they'll get involved so deep with a person, and they'll come to the pastor and tell the pastor and say, "Me and so and so getting married. Would you counsel us?"
On what? Because I get what you're saying here. Once you're not telling me what you're thinking about, you're telling me what you're gonna do. So what am I supposed to counsel?
Yeah.
A pre-marriage counseling, or should you get married counseling? What exactly are you looking for? Sometimes I know a lot of times they're coming for that pre-marriage, but sometimes in that you start finding out, man, I don't know if y'all belong together.
Yeah. But so they've decided to get married without counseling.
Right.
And what do you think about a situation where you are a person shows interest in a young lady, and what do you think about a young lady actually getting some counsel before they start dating?
Right.
Because it seems as though sometimes the counseling come in on the back end when it should come in on the front end.
Right, and that's what I was saying. A young lady just did approach me. And they haven't done anything, hasn't gone any further than possibly just being interested. And she approached, what do you think about this guy? I could see, and you advise on what you think and what you see, and especially when you're talking about some of our church ladies here, and the gentleman is actually a member of the same church. Why not go to your pastor and ask him, what do you think about this guy? Because sometimes us as pastors, it's not that we're going to divulge somebody's information, but we may know whether or not they're in a good spot to start pursuing a relationship or not, or whether you need to give them some more time.
Yeah.
Maybe not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little later, or just an outright no. So you'll be exercising some wisdom before you even put yourself out there to begin to do some research, do some inquiring about an individual.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I would say this, that it is good to inquire about who you're getting ready to go into a relationship with and potentially marry. And because the other thing about it is, I will say this about dating, young women dating and what have you. What do you think about somebody dating just for the purpose of having a boyfriend?
No, that is not. First of all, it's not biblical, and not what. especially in our walk and the way that we believe, why would you waste your time with someone that you know you're not going to marry, or you know is not even marriage material? Why are you spending time with this individual? Because a lot of times, the more you spend time with the person, the more accommodating you will become, the more compromising you'll do. I wasn't looking for this, and he has this in his life. But the reason why, and you begin to make excuses and make allowances that you normally wouldn't do. If you, like I said, if you guard yourself and know it from the beginning, like, okay, I'm seeing some things in him that I might like, and I can go forward. But when you start to see some things, and especially some things that you know you can't change, only God's going to be able to change, you need to give God a chance time to do it.
So, wait on the Lord.
Wait on the Lord, right? Right. So just casual dating, I don't recommend that.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. Yeah. Now I can see. I say casual dating. Now just a potential interest, and you spend some time that way. I wouldn't altogether advise against that. But when you go out that one time and you see what you need to see, I wouldn't follow that up. I wouldn't continue to do it as a
And that's one of the things my advice would be is that when you know that you don't want to marry a person,
right.
That was the last date,
right?
That was the last time out or whatever, because anything further than that, you're wasting your time.
And he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, if you don't mind, you're not being sincere with himself, with yourself or the other person. And so it's best when you know that that's the end. That's the end of that. Otherwise, you're just kind of playing the game yourself.
You're just playing the game. And I'll also say, be weary of the guys that's been in and out of relationships.
Yeah.
Like, you 20 years old and you have 4 or 5 girlfriends already. That is a red flag. Now I get to some people, some of the guys out here now haven't been taught and brought up the way that some of us have, and they didn't know some of these things. Some of these older men have encouraged that from a man.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why too we say, when you do see that you're interested in something, who is he accountable to? Who are the men that in his life that influence him, that he counsels with? You look at that, and if you look at a man, you look at a man, and everybody that he's connected with, they players. He might be a player.
So he might be a player,
right? Yeah.
Might be a player. So yeah, the environment is going to help shape that person,
right?
And if that person does have those people in their life, and they come out from among them and get with sound people, then that's something to look at,
right?
But if they continue with that group, then that's something to look at as well,
right?
They continue with the players, then they might be a player. But if they get with the saints and start walking with sound men, men that are sober, and like the scripture talk about, young man exhort to be sober-minded. See, and then they start hanging out with the brotherhood and other sober-minded men and married men, perhaps, and those that are faithful to their wife and spouse. Then that would be a good sign,
right?
But the bad sign is when they are hanging with the players. That would be a bad sign.
And players, I tell you, it's some young, old, middle-aged.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. You say our granddad, one of my great-granddad was to the end, from what I understand, legs gone and all. Still shooting his shots. But I'll tell you, a good Christian, godly man is going to be that's going to be the best thing for any woman. For any woman. Of a guy, if too worldly.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to, I'm talking to our people here now. Yeah, too worldly. Can't hardly get them to come to church. You got to beg them to come to church. You got to ask them to come to church. And y'all just in the friend stage now. Yeah,
And one thing I will say too about a young lady, and you know, take an interest in a man. Well, think about what he's supposed to become to you. He's eventually supposed to become your head.
Oh, yes.
He's eventually supposed to become your head. So how is it? Does he have a sound mind? Does he have good thinking? Is he gonna see? Sometimes people get in these relationships with a man, and then down the line, then you wondering why he's not leading you in God and in Christ. He wasn't in God in the first place, and you accepted that in the first place. But now you want him to lead and be godly in his leadership, but you didn't have that as a standard in the beginning. See, so you may have changed the game in the middle. But that should have been a standard in the beginning.
Right.
And one thing that the Bible talks about, it says, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. See, what fellowship do light have with darkness? So that's something to think about, you know, as you begin to even talk about dating, and you want to think about, would this relationship cause me to be, would I be yoked properly, or would I be unequally yoked? See? And if you're going to be unequally yoked, then you need to delay that until you can see that that's going to be a situation where it's a match.
Right.
If it ain't a match, then why try to make a mismatch
Right.
work?
Is this relationship going to challenge my relationship with God?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, this is not the person for you.
Exactly.
It is really that simple.
Yeah.
Is me being in this relationship, is it going to challenge in any way my relationship with God? Because with God, you know, you're dating, of course, and we'll encourage you to date in pursuance of marriage, not just in a casual situation. So you're dating someone as a woman that is supposed to potentially be your head, and whom you are going to submit to. You're going to be joint heirs together. And you're going to have to submit to. So your salvation is going to be tied to this relationship. You need to consider. Don't just jump out there and running around with everybody and accepting any and everything. I would discourage that.
Yeah. And so, what's some of the other things that men do to capture a woman's attention?
The biggest, and one of the biggest thing out there is the lies. It's the lies. You embellish. You know, make yourself look like more than what you really are. Like you say, putting on these facades, making it look like you're so much, and you got you got it all together, and you really don't. Vain and interest in the things that the person, their target, I'll say it that way, is interested in. Music. You do a lot of pretending. You will do a lot of pretending.
So he'll start trying to like her music.
Right. There's a movie back in my heyday that I saw 4 times on 4 different dates, and on every date I act like it was the first time
Like
I
the
ever
first
saw it. Yeah. So
how far were these dates apart from each other?
like a few days.
So you went out with 4 women in a matter of a few days.
A matter of I'll say about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So did the people at the movie theater say, "Hey, Terry, who was the flavor for the week?"
No, but these are the things, though. And just running around, and not accountable to anybody. And you said being a little bit more specific, but lies and studying you. A guy will study you. He'll learn what you like. He'll learn what you dislike. Right? And just learn it. Hang around you for a little while like a friend. That's another one. Pretend to be friends, like you ain't interested in them. Talk bad about the girlfriend you might already have. All game. Oh, we just friends. And then he with his buddies, she think we just friends. It won't be long now, though. and you just keep setting it up.
Yeah.
So just be careful. And I know some of the guys will be mad with me, but we gotta warn people.
Yeah. Now I will say this though, even a genuine person, to be fair, even a genuine person though would try to find out about you, learn you, find your interest. But the genuine versus the game player, the person that's playing the game, is the motive of the heart.
Yeah.
It's a different motive,
Right.
A man's trying to find a wife. Well, yeah, he gonna study her, he gonna learn her, he gonna try to please her and do things that she like, and he gonna begin to maybe even be interested in some of the things that she like. Even a sincere person would do that.
Yeah.
But an insincere person, or a person that's playing a game, his purpose is wrong.
His intentions are wrong.
His intentions.
Yeah, and that's actually part of another reason why I'm kind of struggling with this conversation just a little bit, because some of these things are actually good things.
Right.
And you should do it. So I don't want the takeaway to be just because somebody, like you said, just because he studied me, he's learned what I like. I've learned with my wife. I've studied my wife.
Exactly.
And continue to study her.
Yeah, we're still in school.
Right. Because she's evolving, and I want to evolve with her.
Yes.
To keep our relationship strong and healthy. But my motive is to keep our relationship strong and healthy, not just to get what she has.
Or to take advantage of
it.
And so that's what you got to be careful of. And that's why you got to look at character, and you got to look at motives. And that's why you may even need somebody to help you to see.
Right.
I will share this, from my perspective, from my side, I needed some help in finding my wife. I needed some help in that because it was some things I didn't see and I couldn't see. And so my pastor helped me. And then once I dodged a bullet, then I found the wife I have now. Then I'll start asking questions. I asked her relatives. I was asking around. I said, what do you know about her? What do you know about her? And I got reports on her from different ones. And so then for the female that's considering a man as a husband or what have you, well, do your research. What do you know about him? What do you know about him? And your pastor isn't off limits to ask him, well, what do you think about so and so?
Right.
So that's a good thing to do. In fact, one of the things the scripture says that he gives us pastors to feed us with knowledge and understanding.
Right.
And sometimes we just discount that. We discount that.
Because they think we're old and we don't know. But some of us been down. Such for some of us, we've been down these roads. And I try my best to, when I have the opportunity, I've never done it I try my best when I have opportunity to show the ladies some of the things to look for, some of the things to look out for, and then some of the things to run away from. But speaking of marriage, back in that day when I was dating my wife, I wasn't. Even at that time, I wasn't the best guy. But I'm thankful that her dad actually saw the potential that I had, and he gave me a thumbs up. He gave me a thumbs up before he passed, and my wife said that's what really helped her in her decision making as it came down to us. But even in that, I still needed to grow and develop, and actually just begin. I never really became the man that I was supposed to be until I began to build my relationship with God.
Right.
And that's going to be true for every man out there.
That's true.
No matter how good, and there's some good men out there. I'm not going to discredit that, but to be the best man that you can be, the man is going to need God.
You're gonna need God.
He gonna need God.
And then if you want proper leadership, then God is the best leader ever.
Right.
And he gets in a man or woman, he gets in a person, and he leads and guides into all truth. And so a person that got God in him is gonna be better than a person that don't have God in him.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be because of the person. It's going to be because of God. It's not that a man is better. One man is not better than another man. But God in a man, that's going to make him a better man.
Yeah. It is. So some of the things I just encourage us to look out for in some of the games that we use, excessive flattery.
Yeah.
intimidation in some cases. This alpha male.
Intimidation. Speak on that a little bit.
Oh, some ladies they like that.
Oh yeah, that kind of aggressive,
Right.
bad boy.
Yes, right.
I've seen that. I've seen it where sometimes a woman has an opportunity for a good guy, and she don't want him. She want the bad guy.
You want the bad guy, right?
And then he turned out to be a bad guy.
Right.
And then we got the regret. I mean, we just got that good guy. Because you begin to see, even sometimes about appearances, like you said earlier. Sometimes a person can have a great appearance. All the features. No belly. Just flat tummy. 6 packs. The arms bulging, all of that. All of that. Then you got the other guy. He's got blanket on the 6-pack. He's covered up. He got 6-pack under there, but it's just kind of covered up. But you,
I was listening, but it just clicked, right? Yes, and I got mine in there too. I got it deep.
Well, here's the thing though. All that's superficial. That's superficial. What is the character of that person?
Right.
What is in the heart of that man? And those things can change.
It can change.
Those things can change as far as even physical features. Those things can change. A man can, he can get on a track because even myself, I was a good bit heavier than what I am today. But one day I went down to tie up my shoes and I just got upset. I got winded and I was a much younger person and I started doing something, to change that. So, a person can lose weight. So I lost weight. I was a heavier person when I got married. And so I changed that. My mind changed about some things. And so I began to be a little different. So some of those superficial things, don't put a lot of stake into that.
Right.
Don't put a lot of stake in that. Because you can miss a great guy worrying about, whether he got a 6-pack or not, or how tall he is.
Right.
How you might be missing something.
Right. And to be honest with you, a lot of times you kind of are.
Yeah.
Because I've just seen it. I actually seen it too many times where you just pass over a guy just based on not wearing the right shoes with the right pants. Those types of things, right? And then get with someone that has a heart that's stony, that's abusive, verbally, physically, unforgiving. Those things you cannot. God has to change those things. Yes. But you can go out and buy a man a pair of shoes to go with a pair of pants. Easy.
Yeah, and especially if he's got the right type of character.
Right.
He'll listen to that.
Exactly.
And he'll acknowledge that.
Right.
So yeah, I do need to fix that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things I do want to say this, I do want to say this because we've seen a lot of bad marriages. We've seen a lot of bad relationships.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anyone, man or woman, you looking to have a good marriage and a good relationship, God needs to be in that relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't even really know how else to say that. My relationship with my wife didn't become what it really is today until I got serious about living for God.
Yes.
And if you out with someone and they're not serious about God, and I'm not saying they won't become, but just be careful.
Well, to go with what you're saying, Matthew 6:33 or so, it says, "Seek ye first."
Exactly.
That's supposed to be first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then all the things that the nation of the world seek after, they'll be added to you. See, so God should be number one, and so in the man's life, in your life, and even for what you're picking, okay, well, how would God look at this, and does this measure up with the characteristics? Is it godly? Is it worldly? Or how would this work with us having a godly life? So seek ye first the kingdom of God,
right,
and His righteousness, and then the things that everybody else is seeking after, even a good husband. God can add that to you. He can bring that person to you, reveal that person to you, and then you can have a good, successful marriage.
Right.
But God has to be a part of all of that.
Exactly.
And again, like you said, the relationship I have now with my wife, it's because of God.
Exactly. Right.
It's not because of me. It ain't because of her. It's because of God. And because I wanted to please God and wants to please God, not wanted, but want to please God, it shaped what I would do towards my wife, because I know I can't treat my wife any type of way and be pleasing to God.
Right.
And I know that. And then she knows she can't just do me any type of way and please God. So when both people are yoked together appropriately and both have God as the number one, then you're going to have a successful marriage, and you're going to have peace in your home and all those type of things. So if you want that in the end, you got to begin with the end in mind,
Right.
even in the dating.
Right.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for? And do you remember the list that my daughter made? Do you remember some of the things she had
I
on the
remember
list?
that. She sent me that,
Victoria, she made an extensive list. I think her and maybe my niece Raven.
Right.
Made
Interview questions.
Say again?
Interview questions.
Oh
is what
my
they were,
goodness, there's a questionnaire.
Yeah, questionnaire,
You
yeah.
know, and to think about what you're about to go into, well, why wouldn't you ask some of those deeper questions and not just have why would you just have a superficial conversation before you really make a commitment to somebody towards marriage? Why wouldn't you go deeper? Because you think of the implications of a marriage: sickness, health, rich or poor. You know, you're talking about you connecting with somebody that may have to take care of you.
Right. And if you're dealing with somebody that's only concerned about what he can get, when you can't offer that anymore,
Then what you got?
right? Exactly. You got nothing.
Yeah.
You got nothing. When you got someone, like we mentioned earlier, that's only concerned about your physical and what you look like.
Yeah. What happens when that change?
Exactly.
What happened when the Coca-Cola bottle shape, changed to a 3 liter?
Right. Exactly.
And that happens.
Well, right. What happens when you almost faint trying to put your shoes on and fainting because you can't? I experienced that too. Trying to put my shoes on, can't hardly breathe. But it does change. And if you don't have the goods on the inside, if your intentions and your motives are not good from the onset, you can find yourself in by yourself.
Right.
And what I mean by yourself in a marriage. And you don't want to be by yourself in a marriage.
Yes.
It's best for you to go ahead and be by yourself while you're single, and then find a person that can stick with you in marriage.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, just forego that person that he looks good, he smells good, he talks good, right? All the outward stuff looks good. Like he might have a good job. Because we talked about somebody, he might have a good job. He might can't afford to do all these different things, but all he cares about is getting what you have. That is not the right person.
Yeah. And so we really want to pay attention to the games that men play. Our daughters, our nieces, our the women that are in our sphere, the sisters of the church and the body of Christ. Pay attention to the games that men play and look for sincerity and truth. And marriage is honorable in all. And we're not trying to deter you from marriage. We're not trying to deter you from dating, period. We want you to date appropriately, properly, with the right accountability, even in your dating. But don't just date anybody.
Right.
Even in the most appropriate way. Don't just date anybody.
Right.
Don't spend your time with somebody that shows you all of the red flags up front. Do you see the red flags up front? Don't spend your time. Don't spend your time. And then seek counsel. One scripture also says this. It says, Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord.
With all your heart.
Yes.
Right. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and all your mind.
Lean
not to your own understanding. Right. In all your ways,
Yes.
acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path.
He'll direct your path.
Right. He'll provide that direction that you need.
Exactly.
And you'll begin to see. Hey, God will bless you.
Yes.
He will bless you when you trust Him.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of us sometimes we falter is we don't trust Him. right? We want to try to do it.
Not with all of it.
Not with all of it.
You got some of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But ain't all in. Yeah. So we appreciate this conversation with Pastor Terry, and we appreciate your transparency and sharing some of it.
Yeah.
I know because your daughter might watch and your wife and all. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. And, it's some things that we've done in our past that we're ashamed of, the reality of it. And the scripture even speaks of that.
Yeah.
And the Bible even says, what fruit have we then those things that we're now ashamed? And so we acknowledge those things. But one thing is that we can warn. And our job is to warn. And when we see danger, we are to warn. And we do see danger. And I'm getting ready to close, but I was just talking with a young lady, and she was just so disappointed in the options that are out there. The options for men, the men options. It's just like, what are we able to pick from now? And so it's a very slim picking for character. So our young daughters, you need to be looking for character. There's a lot of men out there. Say, well, somebody said, ain't no men out. Yeah, they out there.
They're out there.
But the good ones, there may be far and in between. You got to seek the Lord first, and then He will help you and add that good man to you.
Right.
If you're trusting God.
Amen. That's right.
You agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah. Yes. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Come back to another Growing in Grace. We're glad that you're with us today, and we'd like for you to like, share, subscribe, and tell others about this podcast, and you come back next week. God bless you. Until next week.